Hello, everyone. It's me. It's Michael B. And rumors of my demise were greatly exaggerated. You may have tuned into Super Game Room Dudes Friday night and saw that I had to leave really super quickly. That's because there was gastro or stomach flu going through our house. My son had actually just started throwing up. He threw up a little bit earlier, then he started throwing up again, so obviously I jumped off because I had to jump in and help. Good thing, because like an hour after that, I started getting sick as well, and I was out of it all freaking weekend. Literally out of it. I felt bad for my poor wife because she actually had to make up for the fact that I wasn't around, and guess what? She was sick as well. So, funny story about that. I told some of my friends in this chat I'm in, with friends, that I was out of it all weekend and my wife had to basically suck it up and take care of the children. And they were like, man, you should buy her flowers. It was actually console kids who said that. Man, you should buy her flowers. But I'm smarter than the average beer. I don't want to just do the average thing, buy my wife flowers. I took care of her today and I got her some nachos. And she is a very happy woman. So thankfully, nachos got me out of that doghouse. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. Happy Monday night. Possibly the last Monday night show before the end of the year. I mean, next Monday is going to be Boxing Day, so we'll see. So tonight we're going to do our year-end Arcade1Up review. We're going to take a look back at 2023, and what a year it was. A very strange year. There were some good, some bad, some ups, some downs. My phone's going off for some reason. I think it's Cornercade writing me about something. Sorry, guys. So there were good and bads, highs and lows. We're going to take a look back at everything that was announced and released in 2023. We're going to pick the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between tonight on Chillin' Chat with Michael B. All right, guys, so thank you so much for being here. Let's start the show with the way that we should start every show. Thank the people that have tuned in to say hello so much. I appreciate it, guys. So first up, we've got Kevin Clausen. Hopefully we get all our questions answered regarding the highly anticipated ActionCade. Is it highly anticipated? Is it? Do we have any faith in it? I don't know about that. We also got our moderator here, probably the best moderator in the home arcade space, Jason Little Alien. Hope you all had a fine weekend. See you in 2 hours. And then he did something he really didn't have to do. Hold on. Jason Little Alien, $5 super chat. You don't gotta do that, man. You already have done so much. You've given away prizes, everything. You don't get a super chat, brother. Thank you very much. You know what else is highly anticipated? This $5 super chat from Kevin Clausen. I can't do the Fox, man. Fox is the transition guy. Carlo's here. He's looking forward to the show. Scott B, the show should be interesting. There was a lot of twists and turns this year. Tell me about it, brother. Very interesting year in the home arcade space. Year where we're used to so many big announcements, new products coming out, and this year was not that. Dan Z's here. Dan in St. Louis. How's it going, brother? Who else we got here? JJ. Review shows are always fun. Hope your son is doing better. He is back up and running as of... He was better, like, immediately. Like, he got sick that night. Next morning, he was fine. My daughter, same thing. She got sick for, like, 6 hours. She was totally okay. I got sick for, like, 36 hours. Stock Jock's here. Good evening, Michael B. Hope Junior Michael B is feeling better. Yeah, Tom's doing great. Thank you very much, Stock Jock. Also, good to see you here, brother. Stupid Fat Hobbit, funny comment. Year-end review for 2023. Come on, Genie baby. That's what the 214 streams you did already this year is for. Don't be misguided by people on the internet. I typically only stream, I do a stream like this once a week. Sometimes news comes up, I might jump on and do a quick stream, but It's usually only 52 times per week. Let's just drink together and talk Playboy cover models instead. Playboy cover models? Let's focus on Playboy Playmates of the Year. What year was Victoria Silvstedt Playmate of the Year? Let me know, stupid fat hobbit. Game Room Guru's here, and he got some great news today. What's up, Mike and chat? Scored my Pac-Man XL at Costco for $300 today. That's an insane deal. I love this cabinet. I found it very hard to find anything really negative to say about it, except for like the deck space and the light up buttons. Really good job. I know some people are saying there's some emulation issues. There's a minor glitch. I think, like, I noticed it where Pac-Man blinks out when he's eating pellets. I don't know what that's from. Frame skipping, if that's what it is. I didn't even notice it until someone mentioned it. I had to look really hard to see it. All right, who else we got here? We got Carl O. I think I said hello to Carl earlier. Scott B. I'm finally getting Fast and the Furious tomorrow. Had to settle on paying slightly more at Walmart because I don't think Best Buy is getting any more stock. That's true. It was actually a limited release. That's one of the reasons we never got it in Canada. They only made so many, so if Best Buy is taking orders, I don't know if there's going to be any more, but God only knows what we're going to find out next year from Arcade1Up, right? Oh, my chat jumped ahead. I got to go back. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to catch up here, guys. Hold on. Goofyfoot, hello from the road. Good to see you, Goofyfoot. Andy's Game Room, good to see you too. Gallagher Guy 88, hello, peoples and who's nots. Bad Guy Mike Worley, howdy do. JR says, hey everyone. Dark Empire, LFG brother. Bill's Retro Gaming Show, hello Bill. Charlie Chuck, Cheese Day Monday. Wish it was Cheese Day Tuesday during the NFL season. I know. It's terrible thoughts on my end, but with the Packers in somewhat of a decline, can you blame me? I should switch to Tuesday nights, especially now I'm getting more interested in wrestling again. Con LO1, hey Mike, happy holidays. Happy holidays to all you guys too. Jim's Pacers fan is here. MSU Rich, good evening everyone. Oh man, Andy's Game Room. I drank so much Gatorade this weekend. I hope you guys have stock in Gatorade because I definitely put you up a couple shares. Decadent Dave, just don't barf on the arcades. No, they were safe. My Christmas tree almost wasn't. I'll tell you that. Who else we got here? El Captain, what's going on? HWH Joker, Deadly McMahon. Good to see you, Deadly McMahon. JJ Nachos. Wow, I know. We were watching Sister Wives. I was in bed trying to go to sleep. She was watching Sister Wives last night. And this thing came on about one of the wives. Like, the dude told her she was gross for eating nachos. So her new fiance took her out for nachos. And, like, Lara was like, oh, man, I could go for some nachos now. I listen. Joe Husowski, next Monday is not Boxing Day. It's Christmas Day. Man, I'm really messed up. We are definitely not doing a show on Christmas Day. Papa Brad's Gaming. Hello, gamers. Corner Cake. Guys, everyone here. Let's go. I sent Mike B a text. I know, Corner Cake. Fantasy Games and Toys. Arcade1Up sales in Canada. Brick. I haven't checked this week. We'll do that tonight at some point. Fist of Love says, okay. Biggest Party Ever says, hi-oh. Who else we got here? Biggie D's Arcade. Good to see you, Biggie D. Doug Dog, nothing says I love you quite like nachos after a stomach bug. I'm a man of love. I don't know what to tell you. Kevin Clausen, Jason is the best in the business. Never be another. Hard to disagree with that. And thank you very much for the $3 super chat, man. I appreciate it. Top Jimmy says, good to see you, Mikey B. Soul Red, how's everyone tonight? How are you, Soul Red? Mike Hawk Hertz is here, and I somehow skipped by his message there. Hi, Michael B. I'm skipping raw for this. Better be a great show. I will try my best. Bobby 1 ALU, I thought it was a great year. Maybe. It comes in waves. Like, we'll talk about that tonight. There were some really good things, but there were also maybe some disappointing things for some people, right? Everybody's different. I'm sure Johnny Amaze cures everything. No, I'm actually, I'm in the process of trying this intermittent fasting thing right now. Ever since I got sick, I was like, might as well just roll with it since I haven't eaten in like a day and a half. So that didn't work out so well today. My dad stopped by to drop me up to Costco to get my winter tires changed over. And then he's like, I'm going to buy everybody lunch. So, of course, he went to like Greasy Spoon fish and chips place here. If you don't know what fish and chips is, you're either not British or not from Newfoundland. So fish and chips, and I don't eat fish, so I had the turkey mess, and it was way too much food. Decadent Dave says, break out the Ouija board and hold a seance to channel some clairvoyant 2024 CES predictions. I wish I could give you more, man. Yes, El Captain says, have I picked up Star Ocean 2? I have, but I haven't. So I'm getting it next Monday, apparently, which is Christmas Day. Robert Brown, Rob in the chat, Biggie Waves. Who else we got here? Sith Lord Lex, hello. Ruben Gomez, good to see you, Ruben. Darren Kane's here. Ruben had to cancel his Fast and Furious order. Went with Walmart. Good call. Darren, good to see you as always. Thor KC's here. 19K Fox, better than Raw. That's high praise. Man, it's good to see you, 19K Fox. Congratulations on your iArcade sale. Went to a good home, Sunny Ogle. And you're a good dude, man. Always nice to see you. All right, guys. I think I got everybody. So we can get started with the show. There's also something going on with my internet. Every time I check my OBS settings, because you remember I was having the problems with Restream, it always says I'm having some kind of problems. Oh my God, Galaga Guy. What's going on with Galaga Guy? Did I miss that in the chat? Been out of the loop. Family been sick for 2 weeks. Galaga Guy, I'm so sorry, brother. Everybody, send your well wishes to Galaga Guy. Everybody get better. Luckily, our sickness was in and out like that. So, I hope you guys are feeling better. Am I predicting anything with the Jaws shirt? Kaneda said we could expect an announcement last Friday. I'm getting tired of waiting, Kongs R Us. Jaws! Let's see it. I did something I had no plans to do this weekend. I bought an Infinity Game Board when I found it at Costco for $2.99. So, Infinity Game Board, we have the Infinity Game Table. I bought it last year. It went on clearance sale, sort of, here at the Brick and Cannon. It was like $5.99 for the 24-inch, which is not the ideal model, but anyways, my daughter loves it. She's constantly messing around with it. I was like, man, I'm going to get so much use out of this. I'm going to play stuff with everybody. I played it for the first couple of weeks. I played chess with my father-in-law. I played a lot with my daughter. Now it's just all my daughter. Like, she'll get into a jag and she'll want to play the memory game. Or the other day, she was having so much fun with Operation. That's her toy in the year. Last stream of the year, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Mike. Thank you so much for the massive super chat, bad guy. You didn't have to do that, brother. Yeah, apparently I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do another one this year. Next Monday's Boxing Day. Turns out it's Christmas. So yeah, this is the last, chill and chat of the year. So thank you very much for the super chat, man. It's appreciated. Is Stratego on the Infinity Game Board? I don't know. I was pretty excited when Risks went on there. It's just hard to find somebody else to play Risk with me. It's the game of global domination, after all. Anyways, guys, I've kept you long enough now. Let's get to the main event of the show. That's good coffee. Talk about 2023, the year that was, the good, the bad, what we liked, what we didn't like, all that fun stuff. So, before we do though, wife just bought me an XL Pac-Man at Costco today for Christmas. That is such a cool thing. Anybody that can actually avail of that $2.99 Pac-Man XL at Costco right now, what a steal. Like, let's all admit, I'm a huge fan of the XL cabs. I really like them. I think that one's great. You guys are getting a great gift there. I don't know what else to say. Doug Dog says, Best Buy messed up my Fast and the Furious order. You're going to pay a little bit more, but jump on Walmart while you can. All right, guys. So, huge thanks again to Mike Worley a couple seconds ago for the super chat. My OBS is still telling me my bitrate connection is bad. Hopefully, my lips and voice are moving in sync. All right, guys. So, main topic tonight, The good and bad of 2023. So first off, I don't want to belabor this, but we have to talk about this right out of the way. I just want to get it over with, pull off the Band-Aid. Obviously, the first really bad thing that happened this year, and the one we all have to admit, was in fact the death of iArcade, which sucks. You can be a fan of iArcade, not a fan of iArcade, think what you want to think, but anytime a company in this industry goes under, it's a black eye on the whole entire home arcade space. So the fact that iArcade went down sucks. I mean, me personally, I was a big fan, and I was a big fan of what I thought it could be. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. Not to say I didn't like what they were doing, not to say I wasn't happy with a lot of the things I had on my arcade, and the machine itself is awesome. Like, I mean, that 19-inch screen, the controls really good, sound was incredible, and anybody who's ever built an iArcade knows it's probably the most enjoyable build you will ever do right now, making a home arcade product. The materials all felt quality. It was a high-end quality arcade product. It's just towards the end, you know, it was hard not to feel like maybe iArcade was in a little bit of trouble. You took a look at some of the games they were releasing, and a lot of it was shovelware. A lot of it was just not the type of stuff that I thought they should be focusing on. And whether that was because, you know, they didn't have any money and they couldn't attract some of those titles that were more interesting, or whether or not it was bad management, I can't say. I mean, I know Michael Zverebeck. He seems like a really good guy. Seems like a pretty smart guy. I'm sure he didn't want that. Maybe they poured a bunch of money into the actual mobile idea, concept, and the research and development of that took away from what they were doing, and they just couldn't get out of it. I have heard that maybe some of the negative streams, maybe even my stream in particular, or some of the other ones doing, really didn't help them. And I hate that. I hate the fact that we did a stream trying to, and I'm going to be honest about this, not trying to shit on iArcade or kick them while they were down. Anytime that we do this, like, I can't speak for other people, we don't take pleasure in booting somebody when they're down. Well, except for iArcade after they released that horrible Galaga flight stick thing. But no one takes any pleasure in this. Like, if we say something negative about a company, it's for the concept and idea that maybe we can enlighten them, or maybe we could give them some insight into what we feel, or maybe what we think the community feels they could be doing better. Maybe it'd be more of a wake-up call. So hearing that kind of shakes me a little bit, because I really was rooting for them, and it sucks. They could have done so much. And after my iArcade was sold, I got a little bit of bitterness, because there's some good that came out of the iArcade closure, of course. But I couldn't mod mine, and also all the hopes I had for it were kind of dashed. I mean, there was no new games coming out for it. So I decided I was going to move on, just because I didn't have the space anymore like I used to. I needed to make new room, so I ended up selling my iArcade. I know, console kits, it's all my fault. Good to see you, brother, by the way. Are you out playing pinball and listening by the chance tonight? I was just playing Moon Patrol on my iArcade. Yeah, that was a great port. They did a great job with that. Nothing wrong with that one. Escape from Popo, well, that's a different story. So here's the thing. iArcade, incredible machine, had incredible possibilities, right? Let's be honest here. So when it went down, one of the really negative things about it could have been the fact that Glenn Planamento, GRS, you guys all know him, huge part of the community, wonderful human being. He was so involved with them at that point. He was making this deck that he invested a lot of money and a lot of time on. I was concerned about what that would mean for him, but when they closed, it opened up this brand new door for what iArcade could be, because Glenn mentioned, here's my deck, and I'm also bringing out my Viper board, and then that opened up a whole new world of possibilities for what we could do with our iArcades afterwards. Now, the Viper board hasn't come out yet. We're still waiting on details and information from that. So, hopefully Glenn will have some information for people in the new year. But also, at the same time, Mystery Encoder and his team come over the mountain and they come out with their mod as well. And for people that had the original iArcade, now all of a sudden this thing is an absolute beast. And I've talked to people and they say it's their favorite multicade they have in their house now that they can play all these games. So even though iArcade as a business died and that dream and that hope we all had of those really killer titles coming on this awesome machine went away, at least now for people that have the units, you can do whatever the hell you want with it and you get to use all that power, the great controls, the great looking cabinet with, that big 19-inch screen, and you get to use it and play the games you always hope would be on it. Now, I made a mistake. I sold mine because I had lost hope that they were ever going to come out with a mod for the Gold Cab, and I was a little bit concerned with Glenn's deck because I didn't really want the deck. Nothing against Glenn. He makes excellent products. It's just I didn't really want spinners or trackballs. I just wanted to, play normal games and maybe play some more modern games and figure out how to do that. But I was under the impression I needed the deck in order to switch back and forth between his encoder board because I didn't want to lose my original games either or my original setup. So I decided to cancel my deck and I just lost faith. But all that's going to come out soon, and we'll see where things go from there. Hey, P-Dub's Arcade Loft. So anyways, this is really the last time I want to talk about official iArcade, and I'm happy for all you guys in the iArcade community, all you happy owners out there now that you can mod your cabinets, play awesome shit on it, because it really is just a badass arcade machine, home arcade machine. I've always said in both the reviews I've done on it, probably the best home arcade machine that was ever released. It's just you have to know there are some limitations with the games they're going to release on it. And maybe they're not of the quality you would like. So now, if you take that out of the equation, you can play whatever the hell you want on it. Good stuff. So even though iArcade unfortunately went away, some positive came out of it. Some really, really cool positives. And people who have those machines really enjoy them now. Not that you didn't before. But anyways, good to see that there's some cool stuff there. And you might still be able to buy an iArcade now from that person who bought the storage container. I saw something about that the other day. And I saw he was also selling tempered glass screen protectors, which turns out they're not tempered. Yeah, I mean, you can't write this stuff, right? Anyways, last thing I want to say about iArcade, like, if, all we wanted to do was, maybe steer the ship in the right direction, not push them off a cliff, and hopefully that didn't happen. So, there you go. Desk Garage Gamer, where you been? All right. He does that when he calls me when I'm napping. I did call you earlier. Right before my show. I had a couple minutes. All right, guys. So moving on from there, let's talk about some of the positives from this past year. And for some, there were tons of positives. For others, maybe it was a little more minimum. And we'll explain that as we go through. So one of the first things that was a pretty exciting positive, especially for new people in the community and for people in the community that don't mind swapping out the cabs they have for new models that they might find more attractive, was Arcade1Up moving forward with a riserless version of their cabinets. And they announced the deluxe line at CES last year. So we were finally getting deluxe cabinets, riserless. And before anybody complains about this, let me fully explain it, why this is a positive, because you're thinking, oh, they were all rehashes. We got a new Class of 81, we got a new Pac-Man, we got a new Mortal Kombat. Here's why they're positives. First off was Mortal Kombat 2. Let's be honest, Mortal Kombat 30th Anniversary had a really crappy screen, so we needed a better version with that form factor. We were getting that with MK2, and it was now riserless. So here's why the deluxe is actually pretty ingenious, because It looks more like a real arcade cabinet. You can argue whether or not it's stable. I still to this day have not actually got to play a deluxe cabinet, so I can't really comment on that. But what I can say, if you look at it, the boxes are smaller. They weigh less. Somehow, through what Arcade1Up has done, where they've moved around away from the riser, where it's now not the solid one-piece wood panel, the boxes can actually be more compact. And somehow, through the magic of what they're doing, there's not as much wood in there with the actual riser, so they're a little bit lighter too. So that means shipping costs should come down a little bit. So that's a really good thing. The other thing is, for these located in store spaces, like a Walmart, like a Best Buy or something like that, they actually take up a little bit less shelf space too. So from a business perspective, it's incredibly smart. Now, do the fans like them as much, or the enthusiasts, whatever you want to call yourself? I don't know about that. Seems to be people mixed on whether or not they prefer the deluxe cabs or they prefer the old riser methods. Like, I've seen some movements recently with people saying, let's bring back the riser. I mean, I don't know. Me personally, the riser was always a point of contention. I always wanted the actual bottom of the cab to be an extension of the rest of the cab. Whether it was the riser continuing the artwork, those were some of my favorite risers, or what they did, the deluxe, just have it go all the way down. So to me, that's a bit of a sticky one. I think the deluxe was a move in the right direction. These were these cabs in their best forms they've ever come out with. But maybe it was a little bit too late with that for some enthusiasts. For new and relatively new Arcade1Up fans, it was fine. You know, you were probably looking at buying Pac-Man for the 7th time instead of the 21st. Or you were probably looking at buying Mortal Kombat for the 2nd time. But for those of us who've been buying these since day one, you were looking at it and saying, oh, these deluxe are cool. I can't wait to see what other ones they'll come out with in this form factor, because I already have bought, 4 Mortal Kombats. I've already bought 5 Pac-Mans. I don't like Class of 81. That's just me, though. Oh, I'll bring this up again, and very quickly. I know you guys want to talk about the future. Everybody does. They always want to know what's next. WrestleFest. I did a whole stream on WrestleFest, and I don't know if you guys actually want WrestleFest. This is the only thing I'll say. Would you want a WrestleFest from Arcade1Up, knowing that as much or more than 30 to 40% of the roster aren't going to be in the game from the original game? It's going to be modified. There's going to be replacement wrestlers in for somewhere between 30 to, let's be honest, almost 50% of the game. Those wrestlers are going to be swapped out for different wrestlers. So do you want that WrestleFest? Now, here's the other thing. 2 of those wrestlers are potentially the Legion of Doom, because Legion of Doom aren't under Legends contracts with WWE. So think about WrestleFest. Now take out the Legion of Doom. Do you want a WrestleFest where every time you're going through that tag team tournament, you don't see the Legion of Doom say their catchphrases while Hulk Hogan punched the one more match? I don't know if you do. You can tell me if I'm wrong in the comment. I'll be happy to hear it. And honestly, that's the limitations of Arcade1Up. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know if you wanted it. See, and Doug Dogg's saying it, and this is 100% right. If you're new to the market, this has been a great year. You're getting the best versions of these cabs they've ever made. But if you've been around for a while, maybe you're not as excited as some people new to the market. That's fair. I mean, I'm not, I don't have my eyes closed to that. Just because I'm not excited for something doesn't mean that you shouldn't be excited for something. If you're excited, that's great. Scott B, that's another good point on WrestleFest too. I mean, WrestleFest came out when it was the WWF. But since then, it's now become the WWE, so they can't use WWF anymore, or the World Wildlife Fund will lay the smackdown on them. So there's that as well. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people do. I think that would be a tough one for them to do with their current hardware. That's another one we covered a lot. Right now, Arcade1Up is using kind of an underpowered chipset compared to what they need to do a lot of more modern games. And an element of that is why you see very special ports of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, special ports of Killer Instinct, special ports of NFL Blitz, instead of being able to get real arcade emulation versions. Hey, Matt Astra, always good to see you, man. All right, so remember when wrestling was actually entertaining? Sometimes it still is. What? Arcade1Up's in your office, not multicades? It's been like this for, I don't know, like 2.5 months now. Once I knew Pac-Man XL was coming out, I was like, hey, I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to put my Arcade1Up XLs up here because they'll look nice in a row, and I'll move my multicade stuff downstairs. But funny story about that, I actually have to switch this around again because when I move my Legends Ultimate and AtGames Legends Pinball downstairs, I cannot connect online to the AtGames servers. Not a huge deal with the AtGames Legends Ultimate right now because I mainly play, bring your own game. But for my pinball, it's a huge deal because if I can't be online, I can't access my full game library. So I can only actually access the Gottlieb tables. Thank God for that update because they're so much better now. But if I can't stay online, I can't play the Zachariah tables. I can't play the specialized AtGames tables. So my pinball and my ALU are going to have to come back upstairs. And I guess I'll have to find 2 things to go with it to even out things. I might have the ALP 4K coming when it arrives in Canada, which we don't have a confirmed date on right now. It should be on time compared to the original schedule, I guess. And who knows? Maybe the Unico Candy Cab, which we'll talk about a little bit later. What is this? Kevin Clausen. I don't know what's going on here, guys. I gotta catch up with the chat here to see what I missed. I can't find it. Alright, so deluxe cabs were good. That's the first positive thing. The next positive thing was we actually got a game we were really looking forward to. And that, from Arcade1Up, and that was Time Crisis. Fast and Furious came out, and everybody was kind of dumbfounded. They were like, why Fast and the Furious? If you think about all the arcade racers that are out there, that people have been looking forward to, I mean, when you think of arcade racers, the first ones you think of are Daytona, San Francisco Rush. You go back retro, you're going to think Pole Position, or you're going to do Cruising USA, which they'll probably never be able to do because that's licensed up with Nintendo. So you think of those games. You don't think of Fast and Furious. Turns out Fast and Furious might be a really fun game. I still have never played it, but everybody who picked it up seems to absolutely love it. So that was not a title we were really looking forward to. I'm not going to get into whether or not it was a good or bad title. I think we all know what happened there. It's a very interesting port of the 2 games merged into one. If you're looking for arcade recreations, you weren't getting it with that port. I mean, it's mostly Fast and Furious Drift instead of the original game, despite the cabinet having the original art. But on the shooter side, probably not the number 1, because the number 1 was still House of the Dead, we did in fact get Time Crisis. And it seems like it was a really good cab. So that's a positive. But I'll jump back with a negative right away, because even though that was an exciting thing and we got a positive, we got Time Crisis, is probably the number 2 most requested gun game Arcade1Up could have delivered, and they dropped that price on us, $749. And holy shit, I don't know if anybody was expecting that. Maybe Terminator was $749 when it originally came out. I can't remember U.S. prices. It was $8.99 or $8.49 here in Canada. I can't remember exactly when I bought it, but I mean, $7.49 was a shock. I don't think any of us were expecting that, especially after Fast and Furious came out at $5.99. We got this, message from Arcade1Up at the beginning of the year when we saw the deluxe cabs. We saw they were coming out for $4.99. We were like, hey, maybe Arcade1Up's going in the right direction. Maybe they're trying to price more reasonably, more along the lines of what expectations were. But that $7.49 was a bit of a kick in the nuts. So, even though we got this game everybody wanted, it immediately felt like it was almost like taken away at some points because, $7.49. My computer's doing some really weird stuff later. $8.99 Terminator was. There you go. T2 was $6.99 in the US. Thank you, Fox. I appreciate it. So, really, I might be wrong on this. It's still KI Pro was the most expensive, but the most expensive 3/4 scale Arcade1Up to date, Time Crisis. So, that kind of sucked. No other real way to say it there. Then let's move on to some of the other positives from this past year. I mean, most of the other positives are announcements for 2024. I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but let's go over those. Oh, I skipped one. But I will talk about the announcements first, and then I'll come back to something that actually came out in 2023 that was really good. So, yeah. Get Time Crisis at $5.40 at Wayfair. Really been enjoying it. Yeah, and if it came out at $4.99 or $5.49 or even $5.99, I think a lot more people would have been like, hey, Time Crisis, badass. I'm going to get it. It's just $7.49, man. It really, really, really made you question whether or not you should get it. I feel like Golden Tee XL with monitor swap would give me the most replay. Interesting. I do like Golden Tee. Hey, Mike of all trades, what are you doing, brother? Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you too, man. Hope you had a good night down on the back alley 7-Eleven. Say that wrong forever intentionally. Hope you had a good fight. I was watching for a little bit before I started my stream. Negative, Michael won't be playing basketball for a little while. That is correct. Gonna have to lose some weight before I try that again. Anyways, those were some of the positives from this past year, and sorry to jump into the negatives already with Time Crisis. So, I want to talk about some of the announcements that were really, really exciting. So, first off, you got to talk about AtGames. One of the negatives with AtGames was they were dead silent this year. Like, we didn't hear anything from AtGames. They didn't come out with anything. So the year keeps going on. AtGames is really doing nothing. All these other things are happening. Arcade1Up's releasing product. Mostly rehashes, which is also a little bit of a negative. But AtGames doesn't really do anything. Then they release some Dr. Seuss tables. They're really good. But it's software, right? Like, most of us are here interested in hardware. What's the next big step on hardware? And then, out of nowhere, AtGames announces they're releasing the new Legends Pinball 4K. And that gets people talking. I mean, in this space, there's never been a real cheap retail 4K pinball option other than build your own model kits. But for people that aren't good at modding and shit like that, people like me, basically, we're looking for options like AtGames to come out with like 4K tables. So that was pretty exciting. And then I did a stream, I think it was like a couple weeks later, where I talked about, here's the stuff I'd like to see AtGames try and go and do. And one of the things I said in it, which I did not think was possible, was actually go out and get Zen. because I thought they were tied up with Arcade1Up. I thought they had an exclusive deal. I didn't think there was any chance AtGames could do it, but I said, that's the kind of tables people want. People like what you're doing with your original tables. They like the Magic Pixel tables. They like the Gottlieb tables, but they need a little work, which they also did. P-Dub says, AtGames has only released one pinball pack in the last 12 months. Nothing else has actually been released. It's all just announcements, which are cool, but until they deliver, it hasn't been a great year. Yes. That's what I'm saying. There was nothing happening until they announced the pinball. That was it. They just released the pinball. So then they announced the 4KP. Then they went and acquired Zen, which, in my opinion, that was a boom move. I almost forgot because we haven't heard about it much. They also announced their partnership with Microsoft, and Killer Instinct and Rare were coming to AtGames as well. So those were two really big moves that no one really saw coming. I mean, we've always questioned whether or not AtGames could go out and do that. Go out and acquire the big licenses. People are saying, I love your product, I love your multicade, but is there any chance you could ever get Zen Pinball? I love your multicade, but is there any chance you can go get a high-end fighting game like Killer Instinct, like Arcade1Up does? And we all kind of thought, nah, we couldn't do that. But then they went and did it. Now, one down, the renovation packs have taken forever to come out. I don't know the status of those last going off. I'd have to go back and see if I've got any notes on that. But I don't have any idea on those renovation packs. At least they called them the renovations packs. So there's that. Anyways, so the 4K pinball was a really good announcement. Zen was an amazing announcement. And then I started to question AtGames again because we saw the Addams Family, which really cool. That was the first Zen table. Pre-order came out. We had this option to buy at a low price. Then they announced the next couple tables. And again, these were the best looking tables we have ever seen, or best looking machines we've ever seen AtGames release. But not all the themes were for everybody. Not everybody liked Dinosaur Dynasty. Peanuts got a lot of attention. Beautiful cab. Not everybody liked that. Then Star Trek came out. We've been through the ringer on Star Trek. A lot of people didn't even know about the new tables coming out from Zen Studios, so they didn't really understand why the Kelvin trilogy was on the table when they thought it was going to be a next generation table. Then I was starting to really be hesitant to say AtGame would ever do an actual recreation like Arcade1Up does. It didn't seem like that was AtGame's modus operandi. After seeing the Addams Family, after seeing their choices on other, I was like, they're probably not going to do one. Then, of course, we got Attack from Mars. Now, I'm just talking directly at the screen without showing any pictures. I suppose I could be doing a better job of this. I just completely forgot about the other screens, I guess. But P-Dubs, if they release all these promised things in 2024, it could be the best year ever for that company. But as of now, I only have one Dr. Seuss pinball pack in my hand that AtGames delivered in 2023. This is not a debate on who the best company was in 2023, buddy. Matt Scott says, never say never. There you go. So, here we go. Attack from Mars, and here are the tables. But the Attack from Mars one is the one that really caught me off guard. Because, I mean, this is basically a recreation. This is what Arcade1Up have been so successfully doing for years. And AtGames, in my opinion, really knocked Attack from Mars out of the park. I mean, the topper's beautiful. The cabinet's beautiful. I love it. I think the only down with this is the fact that this was announced so much later in the process. And I do feel bad for people that put in a pre-order for something earlier. Let's say Addams Family. Put down the $200 deposit. And then they say, oh crap, like my Addams Family is cool, but man, that Attack from Mars is beautiful. Like, I would really like to have that. So the only thing I wish that there was some way they could modify and change in their internal system was some way to modify orders. So say, for example, I order Addams Family and then, Attack from Mars comes out, but my Addams Family order hasn't shipped. It would be great if there was some way for me to change my order so I could get Attack from Mars, even if the pre-order price, say I got in at the $9.99 pre-order price. I don't mind paying more for my pre-order because I understand that's the pre-order price now on Attack from Mars. But I really wish you didn't have to lose your deposit. So if there was some way they could work that out where you can modify your reservation without losing your initial deposit, that would be awesome. But other than that, I mean, in my opinion, AtGames keeps moving in the right direction. Those are cool announcements, like P-Dub said, but the proof is going to be in the pudding in 2024. So we'll come back and talk about that more in 2024. But I do want to say, from an announcement perspective, huge strides for AtGame with what they're doing. They seem to be trending in a very positive direction. Very good show. Man, you were salty about this. It is a year in review show. I said we're going to talk about all the announcements and products from the past year. And just agreed with you and said, we'll see how it all pans out next year. Anyways, moving back along, the other one announcement, which has only been recently really announced, is in fact the Unico candy cab. Now, I'm not the biggest expert on candy cabs. I don't have a ton of nostalgia, but when this was announced and I started seeing it, like just that 26-inch screen, everything about it, I was like, this is really cool. But we all said, how much is this thing going to cost? And we found out earlier today the total price point for everything. So it's $9.99 US for the base cabinet. It's $11.99 as a combo price for the base and the bar top, which you save about $100 from the base with that double up. Then you can buy these arcade chairs. I don't know a lot about them, but you only save about $25 when you do the full combo. So if you want to save a little bit of money, maybe think about getting the arcade chairs a little later on. You're not really saving that much money, but it's still $11.99. And some people in this space, we're used to paying like, I don't know, $400, $500. We're asking companies to come down. This is a different animal altogether. This is more like a Chulix or more like a Rec Room Masters cab or something like this. There's no games on the cab currently, but there's all kinds of options to add them. You can hook a PC up to it. You can hook a Raspberry Pi up to it, a Mister, all those things. But if you're an arcade enthusiast, not like me, I don't have these things. I don't even have the knowledge. You can actually hook original arcade PCBs up to this thing with a JAMA harness. It's connected. Whatever way you want to do this, you can do this. So very cool. The other thing was, I mean, who thought Unico would still be around? Like, if you go back to last year, when the MVSX was kind of on the downturn, everybody loved it, but it didn't seem like there was a path forward with Unico. They talked about doing this bar top that was based on, I can't remember the name of the company now, but it was an even more obscure company that made games for SNK, and we were like, what are they doing? And then they come out of the woodwork, and this Nova Blast is just badass. I mean, it's essentially a modern Sega Astro City cab without the limitations and headaches of having a CRT, same size, awesome SandWalk controls, screen 26 inches. It's so cool. I really like it. So anyways, there's that. But keep in mind, this is not a simple thing to work on. I mean, you have to have some chops. You just can't get it and turn it on like you're used to with Arcade1Up products. But anyways, I did a whole video on that earlier. I don't need to get into it again. But very cool to see a company that a lot of us thought were going to be dead and buried like iArcade come back out and just absolutely swing. And so far, from the looks of it, do something really, really cool. Did they hit a home run? Not yet. We still haven't seen one out in the wild. We still haven't seen. So until the reviews come out, I mean, I'm going to be patiently waiting, but I'm super interested. So good job on that, Unico. 1 second for a coffee break. No, it was this weird company that made this obscure Neo Geo shooter that I actually did a live stream of the sequel of last year. Scott B says the Unico thing is cool, but that stand is ugly. Maybe. No, not the Neo Geo X. It was something else. It was just this. They were gonna make a cab dedicated to this obscure developer, and I can't remember the name now off the top of my head. If I scan back my videos, I could probably find it. Doug says I could see putting a computer in the Unico and playing. Yeah, absolutely. But if you're gonna play, more modern games, you might want to consider maybe getting something with the correct aspect ratio monitor, because you got to remember, this Unico, it can play modern games, but should it? I don't want to be a gatekeeper about this, but like, why not consider getting a Chulix or a Vuelix for that matter if you're going to go in that direction? Because it already has the 16.9 screen. You're not looking at the picture, morphed in any way. If you're going to play modern games, maybe that's a better option for you, because this Unico thing has that 4x3 screen, so the picture on it is either going to be or letterboxed. No, it's not a Thomas Wave. Hold on, guys, give me a second, I'll find it. I gotta find it now. I gotta find the name of the company. I can't believe I wasn't prepared. It's like a typical Michael B show. Not prepared. Visco. Remember that? The Visco Mini. You might have saw it through Neo Severa if you follow him on Twitter. I know he was posting a bunch of stuff about it, pictures they were taking. The Visco Unico Mini. Visco. Andrew Dunas, thank you very much, Console X Arcade. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yes, exactly. The big seller is the 26-inch 4x3 display. So if you don't intend to pick it up for the purpose of playing retro games in a 4x3 aspect ratio, there might be a cheaper option out there for you if you're not there for the nostalgia, right? Hey, Mike, remember that Fast and the Furious cab I so happily brought back to Canada from the States? Ironically, my pedals didn't work, go figure, so haven't been able to play it. Hey, at least they sent you new ones. That's awesome, man. I mean, you didn't make a single slide. I know. I'm the shits at this live streaming thing, 19K Fox. I should watch you from now on. Anyways, so those were the fun announcements. Back to the good stuff that happened last year, and let's talk about some more Arcade1Up. So, in a year where so many people were disappointed by what they considered to be a year of rehashes, Arcade1Up released the rehash of rehashes, another Pac-Man, and yet somehow it united the community in saying, that's a good cab. And how'd they do it? Well, pretty simple. They released it in an XL, and they released it at a reasonable price point. And I'm talking about the Pac-Man XL. Came to Costco, $5.99, was widely available. Everybody was really happy with this cab. It seems like there's a want, a desire, a demand for XL cabs from Arcade1Up, that so much so that you can even take the game that you release the most out of any game, the most variations of any game. You can take that game, put it in an XL, and people will be like, God damn, Arcade1Up, you guys are geniuses. And everybody went and picked it up. P-Dubs, you are complaining so much. Why do you hate my keyboard so much? He does. He does. If you follow Arcade1Up on, I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram, a wild David McIntosh recently appeared as Cyrus was walking through the Magic Kingdom, advertising a new game on their Infinity Game Board, which apparently somebody picked up at Costco today for $2.99 US. It was the Harry Potter Trivial Pursuit game, and you can see Cyrus dressed in his robes, asking people questions, and the person there helping him is in fact David McIntosh, who is still employed by Arcade1Up. All right, so everybody loved Pac-Man XL. Jason says Pac-Man XL is the kitty cows meow, plus people getting the Pac-Man for $2.99 right now. Burger sauce. So take that positive. Take that positive. Arcade1Up. Take the joy and excitement that you got from people from releasing Pac-Man, a game you've released 175 times before in many different form factors. You put that in an XL and you seemingly quelled the mob of anger towards you. So, in my opinion, people want more XLs. Give them more XLs. That's not the only thing. Yeah, that was wild. Honestly, another thing, I just don't think, guys, we're going to get more pinball machines from Arcade1Up. Like, I know Cyrus says never say anything's truly dead, but I just don't see a path forward. You go back to the first Arcade1 update they did last year when it was David McIntosh and Travis. And David McIntosh talked about the future of Arcade1Up pinball. And it sounded horrible because other than the form factor, which I really liked, and the artwork, which I really liked, and it wasn't perfect, but, you know, specifically on the Attack from Mars. Really, after that, there were a lot of problems. There were problems with the DMD. There were problems with the games. Like, you could play them. I thought they played pretty good. But then again, I'm not exactly the biggest virtual pinball player in the world, especially back then. I mean, I was Double Flipper Mike. I thought it was fun, but that was until I got my AtGames Legends pinball, and I started playing more pinball with the ALP, especially from a PC. I was like, oh man, the ALP is so much better, especially when you're playing from a PC, to use it as like a pass-through for that. So honestly, the Arcade1Up pinball really needed to be modified. It needed to have Wi-Fi for online leaderboards. You needed to be able to connect and play leaderboards somehow. You needed to be able to do other stuff with it. You needed to have maybe an active backglass, maybe a better DMD. There were so many things. Maybe a bigger screen. There were so many things the Arcade1Up pinball needed to move forward to make it a successful product. But then what David McIntosh was saying was, in order to make another pinball product, we need to figure out how to make it cheaper, how to take things away from our previous offering to make it more affordable to get it out there. So I don't see a path forward. I don't think it's really enough value with what it is to justify especially the price it went up to. And I don't think that it's a good idea to make it shittier. So I don't know what to say. I mean, honestly, I think Arcade1Up pinball is just, I don't see a path forward. I don't know how they can do it. That's it. Now, I don't think that. I'll be very honest with you. I thought that was a pretty, genuine move on their part. I know I'm an Arcade1Up employee, right? So I'm going to say that, but I thought acknowledging that AtGames had just signed the, license to Zen, and them saying that, good job AtGames and being like a good community partner was a much different tone for Arcade1Up than in years past, where they wouldn't talk about competitors or there might be some sly comments. It's nice to see these guys working together. Like, obviously there's some competition there, but these aren't necessarily competing products. I mean, there's different products that meet different needs, right? So there's no reason for people to be against each other, in my opinion. But maybe I'm living in some kind of crazy utopia. AtGames owns it. Yeah, I mean, right now they got pinball locked up. That is to say, in the retail space. Like, once you get out and like you're willing to pay $7,000 and $8,000 for like, one of those massive, builds, 4K pinball builds, it might get a little bit pushed down on AtGames there. Anyways, yeah, so there's that. So that's most of the positives from last year. Oh, there was one more. Sales. Towards the end of the year, another huge positive for not so much the companies, but for us as fans, and maybe that's what this is all about, was, man, we got a bunch of sales. We got good deals in the US, not Canada. Here in Canada, we didn't do so well. But in the US, you guys got some cabs real cheap at the end of the year. So if you're looking to build up your collection and you're looking to do it on a discount, I mean, you look at it. Time Crisis went down to a much more reasonable price. I think it got down to $5.49 at one point. Might even gone slightly lower. I'd have to go check. But I mean, Fast and the Furious at $3.99. If they had come out the gates at Fast and the Furious $3.99, like, probably would have been no complaints about it. Everybody would have been like, "Damn, this cab is fun. $3.99 is great." But now that it's going at $3.99, you can see the demand. I mean, obviously, Blitz and all these people that absolutely shit on that game, absolutely shit on it, they went to Ollie's and bought it because it's $2.99. With the right price point and with the right sale, you know, you stop picking these things apart and you just have fun with it a lot of times. So sales were another really good thing. I made a ton of videos. I'm not going to go over them all, but sales were awesome. The one other real good, exciting point that I do want to bring up was the launch of Street Fighter 2 HS5 Deluxe. That coming out on Prime Day and being $3.99 day one. Gangbusters. What a great move for Arcade1Up to do. Hopefully they sold a bunch of cabs because that's the magic price point at my point. $3.99. That's where it was back when I first really fell in love with this stuff. It's since jumped up astronomically since then. $3.99. Such an amazing price point. It was cool to see something come out day one at that price point. Now, going back to sales, it got even cheaper. And it even went down to $2.99 last week, which, I mean, it's ridiculous. That's back to day one Arcade1Up prices without a riser or a lit marquee. So good. Another good thing last year was the big sales. Now, let's start talking about some of these negatives. Negatives aren't as fun. You know, I'm a pretty positive guy. I like to stick to that stuff. But there was a lot of down stuff last year. I mean, we already briefly touched on the fact that for those people that were looking for new releases, last year from Arcade1Up was the year of rehashes. They were reintroducing their line in the deluxe model. So we got a lot of cabinets we've already seen, which great for new fans. We talked about before. First time buying these cabs, they're getting the best versions of these cabs they've ever put out before. But for those of us who've been with Arcade1Up since day one and every year, almost every year, concurrently saw something bigger and better each year, it was kind of a letdown last year because we didn't get that. I mean, you think about the jump from Wave 1 to Wave 2. Like, you saw Street Fighter and you saw these classic Atari games. You were like, oh, you know what would be really cool? Man, can you imagine they did a Mortal Kombat? Bam, Wave 2 happens. Mortal Kombat. And you're like, holy shit, Mortal Kombat, Golden Tee. Boom, Wave 3 happens. Marvel Superheroes. What else did we get Wave 3? Marvel Superheroes, Star Wars, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Holy shit, this company can do anything. And every year they kept coming out with something that you didn't expect they'd be able to do. Miss Pac-Man, Marvel vs. Capcom, X-Men, The Simpsons. Like, there was always some kind of new, exciting innovation. And then last year we got Blitz and Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which should have been huge positives the exact same way as in the previous years, but they didn't work out so well. I don't know if it was bad planning, bad management, but maybe the cabs came out really before they should have because the online features weren't working and just wasn't what it was supposed to be. But hopefully this year was going to be a rebound year, right? Well, we got Fast and the Furious, and that, obviously, as people know, wasn't exactly as advertised in terms of the games. Still, super fun cab. Everybody who owns it seems to have a lot of fun with it. They accept it for what it is. Probably don't even know about the original arcade. Probably don't even give a shit. Time Crisis, Apparently it's really good. I've never played it. B Kong said he thinks it's really good, plays well, but $749. So it was just, it didn't feel like it was one of those years where we were seeing that big upper echelon towards. There you go. Mike Hockhart says, I actually think Arcade1Up's biggest success this year was how well the countercades moved in Target Q4. They sold more Marvel countercades in 2 months than they had in the previous 2 years. It's possible. It's possible. Mike, always count on you for the good stuff. So, rehashes were kind of a bummer this past year. That's a down. Then we're going to talk about some other stuff that was kind of a down. We talked about the price with, Time Crisis. I don't need to go back there. Some of the other stuff that wasn't so great this year. Let's talk about it. Atari 50th. I saw it and I was like, what in the hell is that? Like when it was leaked, I was like, what in the hell is that? And I understand, like, this is something that Atari championed. They really wanted to do this. If you look at all the other merchandise, they were really pushing 50th anniversary. They wanted 50th anniversary products, but... And I know people like it. People love the cab. People love the gold team molding. And if you like it, I'm not shitting on it for you. But, like, when I think Arcade1Up, I think arcade recreation. And I look at that cab... I don't think arcade recreation. Maybe if you're a big Atari collector, you think it's awesome. Adding the console games to it is awesome. Stuff like that. I'm happy for you, but I look at it and I'm like, should have been an arcade game. I mean, maybe it'll get reskinned at some point and we'll get a proper cab out of it. I don't know. But for me, whenever Arcade1Up tries one of these things where they dick around with the artwork and try to get creative, you look at NFL Blitz, you look at Shinko Hadouken, Yoga Flame, you look at Atari 50th now. To me, that's always a really bum out moment because I want Arcade1Up to basically give us low cost recreations of original arcade cabinets so we can pretend we have little arcades in our house. That's what I want them to be, but there you go. Decadent Dave says Atari 50th is pretentious and gaudy. Do you guys like Atari 50th? Don't feel free to disagree with me. I'm not right all the time. Maybe I'm wrong. Jim Pacers fan, same thing I did heard as well. I mean, this is what the company championed, Atari championed. So I don't know. I don't know the right answer there. Oh, see that sucks. Whatever those lingering problems are with those Tempest cabs, beautiful cabinet, horrible screen orientation, and I absolutely feel bad for the people still suffering for issues on those encoder boards. Like, I think they made them intentionally so Glenn's stuff wouldn't work with them is the other thing. They just left them alone. It would have worked fine. Carlo says he doesn't think it's ugly. Atari 50th has its space. Yeah, totally fine. Me personally, I think it's a bit of a miss. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the Casino-cade and where to start. I mean, I'll be very honest up front. The Casino-cade's not a product for me. This is not something that I could ever see myself buying. It doesn't really bring any interest to me. So you see this product, the Casino-cade. It's obviously a party-cade with a base built onto it. And they're charging how much? $5.99? So I don't know. I don't know what the motivation behind this was. Maybe it was to find a new market. Maybe it was to attract a different audience. It just seems really, really strange to me. We always talked about Arcade1Up making accessory or auxiliary products that would suit our home arcades. A lot of us talked about cranes, which, we saw something about that last year. Rumor that a crane might be coming out. P-Dubs has been championing dartboards for years. So, I don't know. Anthony, I'm interested in buying it, but like I said in my video today, I'm very excited for it, but I'm going to wait and see a couple of reviews first. And I really need to know more about it before I jump in with that kind of money. For $1,200, like, it looks awesome, but I need to know details on shipping and handling. And I do want to see some reviews on it first before I'm going to jump in on it. So, what would I put in it? I don't have any arcade PCBs, so it definitely wouldn't be in that direction. I'm thinking probably for me right now, with the retro games I want to play, single board computer, but I might jump that up to like an old computer because, I mean, if you're going to get a candy cab, you want to play some more modern fighting games and stuff like that, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. You want to play it properly, so probably go in that direction. So I don't know what to say about the Casino-cade. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I want to see accessory products, but I don't know. I think that one just missed the mark. It feels like it was a partycade that they were like, we need to charge more for this. So let's build a really interesting base and then sell it as a full-size cab, except $100 more than our other deluxe cabinets. I don't know what to say. If you guys have it and you like it, you can let me know. But me personally, I think these could have been partycades. Maybe sold at like, $2.99 or something like that. I don't know if necessarily they needed to be a full-size cabinet. And there was some kind of option to build, to buy an optional base. But I mean, like, $600, man. $2.99, even $2.99 seems a lot. To me, Casino-cade seems like that's the kind of product you want on the floor at Walmart to be an impulse buy. Someone will go buy that and they'll be like, oh my God, that's cool. And maybe in the spur of the moment, grab it. But like at $600, $600 isn't an impulse buy. So I don't know. You guys tell me if I'm wrong on the Casino-cade. I don't know what I'm doing here. To me, I don't know if that's the biggest negative of the past year, but it's definitely one that I'm just really, really confused by. I would say that's the best way to put it. But I don't want to end on a negative, so I will end on a positive. The good thing is the year's over. That's it. There's probably not going to be any more. Oh, I'm an idiot. I always do this, and I always talk about the large-scale stuff, and I never talk about the small-scale stuff. And I do have to talk about the small-scale stuff before I end the show tonight. Before we go, though, 19K Fox, $1 million comment. They should have gone with the original design, partycade with a pull handle. I think you're right, Fox. I think you're right. Guy's got a point. He's got a point. P-Dubs is throwing out darts. Literally, dartboard. That's the way of the future. All right, so before we go, I do got to talk about this, and I really meant to talk about this earlier. The other thing I've really enjoyed this year is my interest has really grown in desk shit. Believe it or not, it has really grown. So I'm just going to pull this up on screen for you here now. I do want to give a shout out to the smaller companies, smaller products, literally. Talk about New Wave Toys. New Wave Toys, we got a chance to meet them at the Cleveland Gaming Classic. They've sent some products out to me. I've become very impressed with what they do. I mean, the level and attention to detail is just unreal. Really cool products. Shame about that, gate in the Ghosts and Goblins replica. But other than that, I mean, what a really interesting year for New Wave Toys. I mean, Ghosts and the Goblins. We got the tease for the Berserk and Frenzy replicates coming out later. Missile Command. We got the Dragon's Lair re-release, which I was so happy about. I was so sad I missed it the first time because shipping was a goddamn nightmare to Canada, and they fixed that too. Good job. Cubert came out in the past year. I was lucky enough. Thank you, Glenn Planamento, even though I wasn't there. Stuck around the table, hooked me up with a Cubert replica before the convention was over. New Wave Toys did so much cool stuff last year, and I do want to give them a shout out. Let me know if you're a fan of New Wave Toys, what you like about them, in the comments below. Jason says, I don't think New Wave Toys will disappoint with their full-size arcades. Just rumors now. We can't We can't say anything more than that. Nope, can't say that. So good job, New Wave Toys. Really strong year of releases. The biggest thing I want to congratulate New Wave Toys on in the past year is usually a company will kind of falter when they do something like a CRT filter, and people were so against it when it happened with Missile Command, but they kept going. They came back with a new CRT filter, tried it again for Food Fight, kept adjusting it, and man, they got it right on Ghosts and Goblins. I played Ghouls and Ghosts only slightly when I was in Cleveland, so I really didn't do a lot of testing with it, but from my experience with my Ghosts and the Goblins, the CRT filter is where it needs to be, so good job in continuing with that, and continue innovating, man. Zoltar looks great. The skee ball was ridiculous, but awesome. I love your attitude and the idea of, like, why can't we? And just trying to do crazy shit. I think 1/6 scale pinball is beyond your scope and beyond your abilities, but prove me wrong, man. Prove me wrong. New Wave Toys, awesome in 2023. More of the same stuff and bright future to come. And also, Quarter Arcades, way to come back, man. Like, after a very, very slow period where you guys got knocked down in terms of sending shit out. You know, you went to the debate of having to switch products from wood to possibly plastic. You guys came out with just two awesome products this past year. The Space Invaders cab, what you've done with that is a marvel. Haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but everything I've heard so far, people are in love with it. And I gotta say, Turtles, artwork-wise, on my Turtles, I understand some complaints. The changed artwork on the side, some people aren't going to be happy with that. The orange band, and of course April not wearing her wedding ring. Probably the most egregious is Michelangelo's toes. I didn't even notice that at first. So that's a little strange. But in terms of the actual cabinet itself, the feel, the way the game plays, the emulation, the sound, you guys killed it. And I'm waiting for Nostalgia's review on Turtles in Time. I can't wait to see what he thinks of that. So, you know, big showing from Quarter Arcades this past year, and man, they made so many friggin' announcements. Like, it was crazy. Like, there's already a Zookeeper cab coming, and you guys know personally, I love Zookeeper. I mean, what a beautiful cab. What a fun-ass game. So I'm really excited to play Zookeeper when that comes out. And real Ghostbusters, like, some of the titles they released were so off the wall, like all these bad dudes versus Dragon Ninja. Good job, Quarter Arcades, for really going out there and like publishing games that retailers would normally stop other companies from doing. So can't wait to try that. Ghostbusters in the future. And man, like, rumors are true about RoboCop. Like, you guys are just doing some really interesting stuff. So good job there. The smaller arcade stuff, if you're willing to pay the money, I know the last couple Quarter Arcades have been pretty expensive. Really, really cool stuff coming there. But the last thing I do want to talk about is the year's over. So we're on to the new year, and good stuff is coming right around the corner. Go back to my original screen here. Oh, Cabanero, this is something they said they wouldn't do. They wouldn't do re-releases because they intentionally do limited releases, and they don't want to stick it to their previous owners by just putting something out. Like Dragon's Lair, bit of a different situation because they did like a different version, I guess. But like we talked about doing a Street Fighter cab, and they were like, no, we already did Street Fighter. It would cheapen the ones we already did for the people that originally did the pre-order. So I don't know, maybe they could do another version of Street Fighter, like a Big Blue where it's different. I don't know how they would handle that. But the year's over, so here's what we have to look forward to. First off, have a happy holidays with family, friends, safe and responsible, and do cool stuff. But once those holidays are over and we get into the new year, you think about what we got coming up. Early in the new year, people are going to get their first AtGames Legends Pinball 4K piece. So we get to find out how good this thing actually is in person, from real people buying the cabinets, getting them in their homes. People are going to put their opinions out. We'll see how it goes. I know there were some questions after the Chicago Pinball Expo. There was a beta version of Zen running on the machine, so I can't wait to see what the final build of that's going to be like. And announcements are right around the corner from Arcade1Up. Hopefully, some of the groans and moans of this past year about the rehashes and stuff like that, they're going to turn our frown upside down, and maybe there's some cool stuff coming in the near future. And like a lot of us said, my God, make more XLs. We got a $10 super chat for Gaming for God. I think Arcade1Up's biggest mistake as an owner of over 20 cabs was pissing off Zen Studios. The Attack from Mars, I believe, was their best product. So many other great Bally Williams tables. Yeah, thank you very much for your super chat. And this is one for me, which was a long one. I always thought the Zen and Arcade1Up partnership was kind of interesting. So I saw Arcade1Up as this company that were going to do recreations of classics. So when I thought they were going to get into pinball, at the time I was relatively new to virtual pinball. I didn't really know the full Zen library and everything like that. I expected more of the same from the arcade. So we were going to get real pinball machines recreated by Arcade1Up and Zen. That's what I thought we were going to get. I thought we were going to get, like, if they were going to do a Star Wars, they were going to do, what's the company? Day's Star Wars. I thought that's what Arcade1Up was going to do. If they were going to do classic tables, that's what we were going to get. And, seeing them come out with some of the Zen tables at the time that were, originals done on IPs, I was like, does that really fit Arcade1Up? For me, I thought the Attack from Mars was the best representation of what Arcade1Up was, because this was a recreation of an original pinball machine, and all the games on it were real pinball machines at one point or another. So, yeah, I think they could have done that a lot better. I think that was a big loss. Just don't think that... I think they went into it with their eyes open, and they thought that they could get it to work at an acceptable level with the hardware and software that was available to them at the time. And it just wasn't realistic. Like, in terms of the cabinet build and feel and stuff like that, I still love those Arcade1Up tables for how they feel. Like, I love the height when I was hitting the plungers, even though it didn't have changing back glass. I liked the actual translate that was there, because that's like a real pinball machine. So there were a lot of things I liked, and but just, man, that pinball in 720 and the concessions they had to make, it just sucks. I still had a lot of fun with my Attack from Mars Arcade1Up Bally Williams pinball machine. I played the shit out of it. I flipped Attack from Mars a couple times. I flipped Medieval Madness a couple times. I don't think I ever got there on Totan, but I tried. Yeah, they could have done so much more with it, but I just, they were limited. They were stuck. They had to do Bally Williams Zen tables. They had to do Zen tables, and they could only do the tables that were provided to them. Like, if they could have came back out, what would their second Bally Williams machine would have been? I was betting on Funhouse, and then getting the rest of the lineup in there. Then right at the tail end, before Pinball FX3 became Pinball FX, they released Indiana Jones, and I was like freaking out. I was like, oh, imagine they did Indiana Jones Adventure Pinball Machine. Like, how cool of a recreation would that be? But I don't know. Thank you very much for the Super Chat, Gaming with God. I appreciate it, my man. Or woman, I don't know. Hopefully, I didn't say anything to offend you. I'm assuming you're a dude. I don't know why I did that. Oh, and Stock Jock, Robotron, right? Michael B, it's coming. I wish I could tell you, man. Like, despite what people think, I don't know. I don't really know what Arcade1Up's doing next year. I have no friggin' clue. I am hoping and praying we get some XLs. I'm hoping and praying we get some new games. That's all I can tell you. I think you're gonna get more deluxe re-releases. That makes sense. They already have the license. They already have the games. So there's some cabs that I think they could come back out with. But come on. You saw the excitement for Pac-Man XL. There's got to be more excitement out there for them. People want them. Anyways, I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully we get a Robotron. Hopefully it's done really good. It's probably going to be Smash TV, guys. Let's be honest. I've been fighting this battle for like 2 years. For some reason, people want Smash TV more. I don't know. They're crazy. Anyways, guys, I've gone a lot longer than I intended tonight. Thank you so much for sticking with me if you managed to get to the end. I know no slides, no super chat transitions. I'm a poor man's 19K Fox. I don't even know if I'm that good. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me. This has been the year in review. Hopefully it was okay. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And hopefully when we meet back here this time next year, we've got so many more positives to consider than we do negatives. So much more good than we do have bad. I'm really hoping for a huge bounce back year for home arcade. A lot of new products coming out. Hopefully they're all badass. Most importantly, hopefully we all have a lot of fun. We play some cool stuff next year. Anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. Got to get Stock Jock's message off the screen before I end off. Thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight. I appreciate it. Happy and safe holidays. This has been Chillin' Chat with Michael B. See you in 2024, everybody.